Doesn't matter how many seasons it happens or how many managers and teams it happens to, they're never happy with it because the fixture list is intense if you're involved in multiple competitions. And that's what we have to factor in when we look at the remaining fixtures for both Arsenal and Manchester City. They meet in the Carabao Cup final. They're both still involved in the Champions League. And look at this kind of run of fixtures that they have between now and the end of the season. So any team in red is currently in the top 6. As Billy Ocean told us, red light spells danger. Any team in yellow is up to the relegation places, and then the teams in green are the ones in the relegation places. So once Arsenal play Chelsea tomorrow, the only team they play left in the top 6 is Manchester City, at the time being, at least. Does that make a difference, do you think, in the run-in?
No, I sort of agree with Pep in what he said, one game at a time. And I know it's cliche, but because you just never know in these fixtures. You would look at them two fixtures, Forest, and no disrespect to West Ham. Man City should get over the line in them. But Chelsea, the way they're playing, they're not closing out games like they should be, but the very, very good team, Arsenal, I've said it from day one, this is the defining week, this here. And if you look at Arsenal's side as well, because they've not done it, and I've been there, get into the Champions League, and you're always looking over your shoulder, can you do it? And if they don't do it this season, they might do it next season. But what Man City have in their favour is the experience. I said before, they're not scintillating. And they know that. They defended well today, and they got the goal. But there's something to say about the experience, especially when it becomes a psychological battle. So Man City today could go home.
That game on April the 18th, there's midweek Champions League fixtures.
Yes.
Just in the week before that.
Well, that could take a lot out of both teams as well. Man City obviously got Real Madrid, which is not going to be easy. But they both have got very good squads. Everyone talks about Arsenal squad, but Man City squad's really good as well. The players that are on the bench today. It's just fascinating. We've got a proper title race this year.
You didn't want to talk about the past, Pep Guardiola, but we're going to, because this is extraordinary. This is how Manchester City typically finish a Premier League season compared to how Arsenal normally do. Now, if this were the case here in 23-24, where they were 3 points better off than Arsenal, even City's worst finish compared to Arsenal's best would be enough for Manchester City to win the league title. However, he's also correct in that this doesn't mean anything this season, in a way. What do you think?
I think it means something because you've done it before, and that, again, I'm going back to the experience. But when we won the league, we had to beat Man United, so Arsenal have to do it at some point, and that's why it's taking every game. Don't be looking at fixtures saying, "Oh, we're going to get points here, we're going to get points there," because goals or a sending off or whatever could change a game at the right or wrong moment for you. They've just got to focus on the task in hand. However, I just feel, and that's why I said, everyone was talking about Man City saying they're not quite there, but they might not have to be quite there. I don't think the league's been amazing this season. Liverpool have not been it. Chelsea have had a new manager. Spurs have. Arsenal started really well, went through a little bit of a blip, but then
Man City looked like they were going to challenge and then
fallen off a little bit. And Man City now just doing their business quietly. Everyone's writing them off, but you can never write off Man City. Every time you try to write off Man City, they make you look stupid. So I think it's going to go all the way to the wire, but I think the pivotal game is obviously at the Etihad.
On April the 18th, between Arsenal and Manchester United, or between Manchester City and Arsenal, is what I should say. And it's not just about how strongly Manchester City finished the season. It's not just about the experience of the players. It's the fact that Pep Guardiola has this record of winning league titles in pretty much every season, certainly the vast majority of seasons that he manages club. 12 with 2 runners-up and 2 third places for him. I mean, that kind of experience, I was going to say can't be bought, but you can employ that kind of experience, but it's invaluable in the team.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive, isn't it? I think he's never gone 2 consecutive seasons, is it, without winning a title. So I think the 2 third place finishes we talked about off air was his first season and last season. So he definitely knows what it takes to win the title. Of course he does. But I think Arsenal are better equipped this year, I'll be honest. I think listening
in terms of defensively, attacking.
Yeah, defensively, I think all over the pitch they're solid. Okay, they're maybe not playing free-flowing football that you maybe expect a title-winning side to do, but you don't have to.
Correct.
You just win the league by all means necessary. Do whatever you have to do to win the league, and I think they might just have enough. But yeah, listen, it's all setting up for a fantastic end of the season. But Pep knows what it takes to win a title.
Micah, you know what it takes to win a title as well, pre-Pep Guardiola. And you mentioned that title-winning season when you're chasing down Manchester United until it all came to a head in the game against them, the 1-0 win against them. Does this, it's not exactly the same, but does this feel similar to that season, or can you see similarities?
It does, because we went to Old Trafford and we won 6-1. We got a little bit ahead of ourselves, let's say. We thought we were the better team. We looked at our squad and thought, yeah, they've got some top players, they've got experience. However, what we've got on the pitch and our bench, we always thought maybe it's a little bit stronger. If we needed to make a tactical change, I think we had more off the bench than them. And then when Vincent Kompany scored that header, he just started to believe. But it was mad, because the game when we won the league, that QPR, and that's why we're talking about with the fixtures, expecting that game to just go swimmingly well, no problems at all. But the way it happened, Dzeko and then Aguero, last minute of the game was just incredible. And you go through, and people are talking about Arsenal, and they're talking about the very emotional, but so were we. You have to be emotional, because winning the Premier League, especially as a young boy who wants to play football, it's absolutely everything. I was content with the FA Cup the season before. You go and win the Premier League, it's dreamland. So when people say Arsenal are overreacting and they're very emotional, at times if you look at Arteta on the sideline, maybe, but he knows how much it means. And as a player, you look at every single detail. I remember going before a game and just thinking, I don't know if I can do this. It's too much for me. And then, you win your first challenge and then you grow into it. And that's what Arsenal have to do.
Yeah, that fear of success is a really strange phenomenon. But for Manchester City and for Arsenal, this is going to be a fantastic run-in. They're also going to play each other, Micah, in the Carabao Cup final a couple of weeks' time. I just wonder if whatever happens here has a bearing on what happens on April the 18th or whenever they play each other.
You wouldn't be human if it didn't. If Man City were to win that...
generally teams don't win both, do they? If this kind
that,
of situation
but it's the
happens.
Confidence that it gives you. If they go
gives
with
you
that,
psychological
battle. But however, if Arsenal were to win that, it gives them the belief as well. That's why this season it's so entertaining.
And also it'll tell us about maybe their focus. So if one of them is like, the league is the one in our sights, sometimes the cup competition can kind of go by the wayside a bit. But we'll at least get a little taster before we get to the main course.
Yeah, listen, it's all setting up to be a fantastic end of the season. I think I'm with you guys. I think it's whoever wins that cup, it could give them a psychological big boost. It'll be interesting to see if City do get ahead of Arsenal, how Arsenal then react, and even how City react by being in front, because there's a totally different pressure. It's easy to chase. It's harder to stay there. So it'll be interesting if they do manage to get there, just to see what it's, how they go about.
I mean, they're going second for the second week in a row, play Chelsea in the final part of Super Sunday tomorrow. Man City go first away at Leeds United earlier. Is pressure and how Arsenal handle it or don't handle it the only thing that stops them ending this 22-year wait for the title?
Yeah, and a bit of luck here and there along the way. I mean, you got to get a bit of luck along the way, Kick off tomorrow, ball goes over the top, keeper comes out, someone goes round and keeper gets sent off, you're in trouble. So you need that little bit of luck at the same time. Big pressure playing second. If Man City win.
Yeah.
If Man City win, the pressure's on. So for me, this is a big weekend, as I said earlier. Man City got a difficult game at Leeds and Arsenal got a very, very difficult game at home to Chelsea. So, yeah, all the eyes were on Arsenal last week against Tottenham. Big local derby. You think it's going to be a bit of a leveller, and they performed. Put in a brilliant, brilliant performance. You sit there after and you think, why didn't you just play that against Wolves? Why don't you just play like that with that amount of energy, have a go at them, attack them, and Wolves wouldn't have been able to live with Arsenal. So for me, I think they've got to take the game to Chelsea. Chelsea will probably sit back like they did in the semi-final and soak it up and try and get Arsenal on the counter-attack. But yeah, big football match this. I think if Arsenal win this game, that you could tick another big team off that they've beaten.
And Merce is right, Boydie, to talk about, particularly that performance against Wolves. It was so poor by the standards they've been setting this season. Yeah. But can we read too much? Listen, you only beat what's in front of you, and they did so well against Tottenham last week. But we've talked about Tottenham. They're so far off it at the moment. Can we read too much into that win and performance?
Yeah, because it's a derby. I know Tottenham are struggling right now, but to go and put on the performance that they did, and I thought Gyokeres was outstanding. I mean, there's been times where he's been criticised this year. I don't know if maybe because Tottenham, Tottenham started with a back three. Usually, when you see Gyokeres, he's trying to back in, he's trying to fight with defenders. I thought at the weekend it was an outstanding performance because he didn't go and get involved in the battle. He didn't go and try and play up against them. He played in between them. He played to the side of them. He caused Tottenham all sorts of problems, and when he's in this form, I think he's very difficult to stop, because there's one thing, yes, he's not hit the amount of goals that a lot of people expected him to get, or he's not hit the amount of goals that he got in Portugal in the last few years. He was never going to. But whenever you give him a chance, Si, I mean, his finishing is outstanding. This year, there's only one thing. He doesn't need to look at the goal. He knows exactly what it is. The goals don't move. His first touch is perfect. It's in, it's clean, and it's a fantastic sight. This one uses his body. He's fully aware of it there, as I said. Usually it's like backing in and trying to fight with defenders. That time there, he gets his arm up across, holds the defender off, and just bends it away. It was an outstanding performance. And, for me, when you've got that back three and a striker, it can be difficult sometimes to go and pick him up, but he occupied the three of them last week.
I think he was very, very clever. If you looked, he played on Polinia and Dragusin in between them two. He never went on the other side where he goes, I don't want a foot race with Mickey van der Ven and Dragusin in the middle. So he played down that side. When he was up for a physical battle with Dragusin and Polinia, I thought he just outstrengthened them. What he wants, teams go to the Emirates and sit 10 players behind the ball, and it's hard for him to get an opportunity. But I think 10 Premier League goals this season, I think he's been a good signing. People say, yeah, his numbers aren't great. He occupies centre halves, Boydie, like you just said, and it gives you wide plays. It gives the player in the number 10, Eze, last week, a little bit more freedom, a little bit more space, because he puts your centre halves back. I think he's a good signing, but people will always question that.
And mentioning Eze there, Merce, I just wondered how much he benefited, particularly last week, because Eze appears and he just absolutely loves scoring against Tottenham. Scored another couple to go with his hat-trick earlier this season, but it looked like Gyokeres was benefiting from having someone running off him, because at times this season he has looked a little bit isolated.
Yeah, He put Saka in there against Wolves. It's an odd position to play the 10. You know, you just don't just put someone in there and go, go and do what you want. You've got to make things happen. You've got to find pockets. You know what I mean? And Eze's very good at that. You know, I thought that was what he was bought for, was to get in them little pockets. You know, and if you get him on the ball, he can turn it. He's elegant. He goes past people like they're not there. Yeah, and it helped. If you won that game was perfect for Arteta. You know, they win the game 4-1 and Gyokeres gets 2 goals. Yeah. And Eze scores 2. I mean, if you could pick 2 players you wanted to score the goals, that would be it. If these 2 hit fire to the end of the season, Arsenal win the league. Yeah. You know, if they can go and be 8 out of 10 every week. Because, you know, we said at the start when Eze got bought, he was the X factor. He was the one that was going to get him over the line. And I still think that could be the case, you know, long as he plays. And Arteta trusts him. I always find with Arteta...
Do you think he does fully?
No, I don't think he does. A lot of people. I think Arteta plays on sparks where he'll watch someone, they'll do something wrong, and then, you're out the team. Do you know, I've seen it too. You know, we see it with Calafiori not long ago. He had a nightmare game, gets ripped off, don't play again. You know, Eze gets caught on the far post against Cash at Villa. Don't really play again. You've got to give them a chance. Trust in them more, these players. I don't think he does that enough, in my opinion.
Arsenal's internal shakeup continues, and the latest departure signals that the restructuring behind the scenes is far from over. James Ellis has stepped down from his role as technical director just 7 months after being promoted. According to BBC Sport, Ellis, who only took on the position last August after serving as head of recruitment, has now left the club amid what appears to be a wider internal overhaul. His exit doesn't come in isolation. In December, Arsenal appointed former Napoli executive Maurizio Micheli to a senior recruitment role, a move widely seen as part of the club's long-term structural reset. Just months earlier, Andrea Berta had been confirmed as sporting director, effectively replacing Edu Gaspar. That appointment alone signaled a new era. Now, with Ellis gone, the transformation feels even more deliberate. Ellis joins Edu and former CEO Vini Venkatesham among high-profile departures from the Emirates hierarchy. Both Edu and Venkatesham moved on to new roles, Edu taking on a global director of football position at Nottingham Forest, and Venkatesham joining Tottenham. However, neither situation appears entirely stable. Edu's time at the City Ground has reportedly been turbulent, Nottingham Forest's dramatic drop in form since his arrival has raised serious questions about the project's direction, and indications suggest his tenure there may not last much longer. Meanwhile, at Tottenham, Venkatesham has come under intense scrutiny from Spurs supporters, particularly for his initial backing and continued support of Thomas Frank, even as results and performances deteriorated from December onward. Eventually, Igor Tudor was appointed interim manager, and his first match in charge came in the most demanding fixture possible, the North London derby against Arsenal. Despite having just 7 days in the job, the 47-year-old Tudor understands the magnitude of the occasion and the adversity he's facing. "We trained with 13 players," Tudor admitted. "That's the reality. It's not ideal, but in moments like this, the challenge becomes even greater. And so does the opportunity to succeed." He added confidently, "We will have 13 players ready, and that's more than enough to achieve what we want on Sunday. I understand the importance of this match. It's a North London derby. Everyone expects 3 points from us. We are aware of that." Arsenal, however, arrive at the derby carrying frustration of their own. Consecutive draws against Wolves and Brentford have slowed their momentum, and Mikel Arteta made it clear there could not be a better fixture to respond. "It's the next game, and it's the one we're most excited to play," Arteta said. "If we could play today, we would. We have to use that feeling in our stomach the right way, and show it on Sunday." There are also selection decisions looming. Despite Eberechi Eze scoring 3 times in the reverse fixture, his place in midfield is no longer guaranteed. Competition has intensified, particularly after positive fitness updates on Kai Havertz and Martin Odegaard, both capable of operating in similar roles. "We'll have to wait until tomorrow," Arteta said cautiously. "But there's a strong possibility that both of them will be available." With tension rising both on and off the pitch, this derby feels bigger than usual. Arsenal are reshaping their leadership structure. Tottenham are battling instability, and both clubs are searching for momentum at a crucial stage of the season. Sunday won't just be about 3 points. It's about direction, identity, and control in North London. The broader picture, however, stretches beyond one derby or one boardroom exit. What is unfolding at Arsenal is a defining phase, a moment where structural decisions off the pitch could shape the club's competitiveness for years to come. The departure of James Ellis raises natural questions about continuity and recruitment strategy. Arsenal have invested heavily in building a data-driven, modern scouting network over the past few seasons. Under Mikel Arteta's leadership, recruitment has largely aligned with a clear footballing identity: younger profiles, tactical intelligence, technical security, and long-term resale value. Now, with Maurizio Micheli and Andrea Berta positioned as key figures, the club appears to be centralizing authority even further. For supporters, the concern isn't necessarily change, it's instability. Frequent turnover at executive level can create uncertainty during crucial transfer windows. With the summer approaching and expectations growing after consecutive near-title pushes, Arsenal cannot afford missteps in squad planning. Rivals are strengthening. Margins are thin. Every decision matters. On the pitch, the North London derby carries added psychological weight. Arsenal's recent draws against Wolves and Brentford weren't just dropped points. They dented momentum at a critical juncture of the season. Title races are often defined by response, how quickly a team reacts after disappointment. Arteta understands that narrative. Privately, there is belief within the squad that performances have not dipped as sharply as results suggest. Arsenal have maintained strong possession metrics, defensive structure, and chance creation numbers in recent matches. The issue has been efficiency, converting control into decisive moments. Against Tottenham, that margin for waste disappears. For Spurs, the situation feels even more volatile. Igor Tudor's interim appointment reflects urgency rather than long-term planning. Training sessions with limited numbers underline the squad's injury struggles, and depth will be tested against one of the league's most organized sides. Yet derby matches rarely follow logic. Emotional intensity often overrides tactical predictability. Another layer to the story is the competitive landscape at the top of the table. With Manchester City and Liverpool maintaining relentless standards, any slip can reshape the standings instantly. Arsenal know that draws at this stage can feel as damaging as defeats. The pressure is no longer about proving progress. It's about delivering silverware. Internally, Arteta's message has reportedly been direct. Block out external noise. The boardroom reshuffle, media speculation, and scrutiny around player selection cannot bleed into matchday focus. Leadership inside the dressing room, particularly from senior figures, becomes crucial in moments like this. There is also anticipation around the possible return of Kai Havertz and Martin Odegaard. Their availability would not only boost tactical flexibility, but also restore leadership and composure in key phases of play. If both are fit, Arteta faces a selection dilemma, but one he would welcome. In North London, perception shifts quickly. One result can calm doubts or intensify them. A victory would reassert Arsenal's authority, silence questions about momentum, and reinforce belief in the current project despite executive turnover. A setback, however, would amplify concerns about consistency at the worst possible time. Ultimately, this is a convergence of narratives, structural change, title ambition, squad depth challenges, and historic rivalry. The derby will not define the entire season, but it will send a message. And right now, both clubs are desperate to control that message.